Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man whose athletic prowess is somewhere in between Desmond Ridder and Kirk Cousins. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Probably a little closer to Kirk Cousins there, but not much difference.
Yeah, who do you think would win in a 40, you or your Cousins?
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
I think he'd beat me. I think he'd get me at this point.
Probably.
I got bad knees. I'm old.
Gotcha. So, unlike Kirk Cousins, yes. I feel like that is the thing, though. I'm pretty sure the slowest players in the NFL would still absolutely torch most average humans in a race.
100%. Yeah, they're just going against the fastest humans on the planet.
Right. I think that makes it tougher. We have someone in with a regular chat saying it's time for endless MVP debate. I mean, where have you been? We've been doing this all season.
Yeah, we started week 1. What do you mean?
Yeah, we never stopped. Kyle, we have so much to get to. We have multiple Monday night games, 16 games to pick. So a lot of interesting stuff here. Let's start with the Falcons-Raiders game. I think that was kind of the more interesting Monday night game. You kept wondering, like, okay, we've been talking about this for a month now. Like, when are they going to, how long can they keep with Cousins? I think it was just so bad in this game. They kind of finally had to say, like, okay, enough is enough. I mean, there was a 3rd and 10 when they ran the ball in this game. They're scheming around him. Even when they asked Cousins after the game, how do you feel about your performance? And he's like, yeah, it's not where I want to be. Like, he knows he's not playing well. And so I think, we kept saying, like, the Falcons are different. They're not going to just rush to bench him. I think they didn't really have a choice here.
Yeah, I think there was a change that had to be made. They did not play well in this game at all. Honestly, they're quite fortunate to win it, in my opinion, because they had that 3rd down play that was the roughing the passer, which, like, I understand the flag, but also it's really tough to say, like, the guy who's deflecting a pass and has his arms in the air for that is then going to get called for roughing the passer for deflecting the ball and then landing on the quarterback. Like, I don't know. That's a tough break. And then not to mention, like, the Raiders, committed like 5 penalties on their last drive and still got the ball down to the 35. Like, if they didn't mess around that first 30 seconds, they might go down and win that game. So yeah, I thought they were fortunate. I didn't think they played well, and I think it was pretty clear that this offense is sort of stuck, so it needed a change. I thought Bijan Robinson was basically their only offense in this game. 6.6 yards per pass on 17 pass attempts, along with 3 sacks. And I honestly think it was worse than that. I just didn't think Kirk played well. I didn't think he saw the game well, and I thought he missed several throws. So yeah, I think it was time for the change. And this is what was a fascinating offseason move now looks like kind of a disaster, because I mean, at this point, you probably just wanted to draft Penix and not pay this guy to begin with, right? Like, that's probably what you should have done. And now you're stuck with this contract next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone made fun of the Penix move, but really, I think the issue was they stacked these 2 moves on top of each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think either move would have been, like, listen, we knew there was a chance Cousins wasn't going to play great after the injury. Like, that was a risk that the Falcons took. It didn't work out. Like they're not idiots. They knew this was a possibility when they made the move. I think that, I think Cousins is going to be cut this offseason, and they'll just eat the dead cap next year, and then you get 2 years of Penix's rookie deal is probably how it works. I mean, the good news is you do have a door number 2. I mean, like, as much as we made fun of this move, in previous years they had to go with Desmond Ridder because that's all they had. Now they have a better option here, at least.
Yeah, no, they have an opportunity to go with something here. We don't know how Penix is going to play, obviously, but, I think a lot of people did like him in the draft. He was very good in college. You give him the opportunity here as a 1st-round pick to kind of save the season, because they did win. They're still in the playoff hunt against all odds, and they're only a game back at Tampa. They have that tiebreaker, so they just got to make up a game. It's not going to be easy because Tampa still has a favorable schedule, but, there's still a path to the playoffs for this team, and so they had to make a change to spark this offense, and we'll see if Penix can be that guy.
Well, actually, their pathway is a little bit easier for the 7 seed because they have to make up a game on Washington, but they play Washington. So if they win, they go 3-0. I think that I meant to double check this before we started the show. I think that would just get them in because the Rams and Seahawks play each other. So I think if Atlanta just wins out, they'll get in. Now, we're expecting Penix to win his first 3 NFL starts. Not so easy to do. But again, 2 of those games are going to be against not very good teams, the Giants, Panthers. So it's possible.
Yeah. And Washington also has to lose to Philadelphia, which, I mean, they should, but we'll see. So a lot still has to happen around them. But is this the season that we finally have the referendum on $30 million quarterbacks that aren't very good?
Well, I mean, again, he was making $45 million, right? But
I just think beyond that, I'm going through the list in my head. We see the Daniel Jones situation play out the way we kind of all expected it to play out. We see this situation. We see the Derek Carr situation. We see the Dak Prescott situation in Dallas. And, I think that and then not only that, on the flip side, you're seeing guys like, Sam Darnold. You're seeing guys like Jameis Winston versus Deshaun Watson. Not that he's on the same level. Baker Mayfield, what Geno Smith did the last couple seasons. And, he didn't get a monster contract after that. So I think it was a favorable deal to go ahead and pay him what they were asking. So I just think you've seen it now. And the only guy making around $30 million that I would say is not flirting, on his best day can be considered an elite guy is probably Goff. And you could argue Goff's having his career best season, first of all. And also you could argue that Detroit made the right move because they nailed everything else around him. There's only 3 guys on the Detroit roster with over $10 million in cap hit. And they've just drafted elite talent so well that you can take a risk on a quarterback who's maybe not the best one, but good enough for this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for years. I don't know. I think the issue still is, at the end of the day, when the Jaguars get into the negotiation with Trevor Lawrence, it's if we let him walk, then what that means is, the 49ers now with Purdy. A lot of people have Purdy jerseys. If we let him walk, okay, we have to replace him. If we don't replace him correctly, we're all out of a job. Maybe we'll just sign him and hope it works out. It's a huge gamble. But from an organizational standpoint, yes, it's the correct call.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting when some of these guys coming up who, probably don't have elite talent, but it's definitely going to be a fascinating case study, I think, going forward, because I feel like this year more than ever, we're seeing the results play out in the favor of not paying these guys anymore. You just straight up shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know we're going long on this, but just going down the list. Dak Prescott's not great. Joe Burrow, okay, he's really good. The team stinks though, partially because you're paying him. Although I still think that's a fine contract. Jordan Love, I think, to be determined. Trevor Lawrence, not good. Tua, again, it's not working out. Goff is, but then, and you have Herbert who is. So it's again, it's the elite guys. It works out, but then I don't know. You have Jalen Hurts as well, who's working out. So you'll talk yourself into it. There's a dozen that don't work out, but you'll talk yourself into the 3 that do.
Yeah. I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, I agree. We can go very long on this. So, I mean, yeah. I'll cut us a little short on it, but I do think it's an interesting topic going forward because I just think some of those guys you mentioned, I think at their best can dabble in the elite category. They're not consistently elite. A guy like Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, stuff like that. They have elite stuff sometimes, but we're not seeing it from guys. If you're not someone I can consider a top 10 quarterback, I don't see any justification of paying you at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's do just a quick Raiders rundown. They played hard. They have been playing hard these past few games. I think you have to give credit to Antonio Pierce for that. I still think he needs to hire a game manager who can tell him when to use the timeouts and stuff. That would be a good idea. Ritter was Ritter. Somehow he had that good drive at the end. Would have been so funny if they won.
2 really good drives, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It would have been very funny if they won. They didn't have a completion to a wide receiver until the 4th quarter and nearly won this game. So, they don't have the talent. But I think, they've looked all right these past couple weeks. Even the Tampa Bay game, this final score did not indicate how well they played in that one either.
Yeah. Yeah, Jacoby Myers ended up with a really good game for not catching the ball until the last drive. I mean, it was a valiant effort, and a team had 3.8 yards per play. There's clearly talent lacking on this team. We've talked about this a lot. This team's in a tough spot. It's going to be a long rebuild for this group, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But like you said, you value that fight in that spirit because they're clearly the underdogs in a lot of games that they played, and like I said, they had an opportunity to win this game. They got it down to the 35-yard line at the end. They had 7 penalties in the end, and it felt like all of them were in those final 2 drives, and that was basically the difference because if they don't commit that roughing the passer, whether I agree with it or not, doesn't matter. It's the rule. And then the final drive too, a couple penalties there. That was the difference in the game.
Yeah. Let's move on to the other Monday night game. Again, we were blessed with 2 great Monday night games here, Kyle. If you think, wow, that football was already so exciting, we got more, believe it or not. Vikings blow out the Chicago Bears, and the Bears have had some better performances. This was even a down performance from their perspective. The Darnold still made some mistakes. This is not the best Darnold performance that we've seen. He's been a bit up and down this year. I think that's fair to say. We did the Darnold versus Jordan Love conversation earlier. I think that certainly the past month or so, you're taking Jordan Love, even though Darnold's had some great games in that stretch.
I don't know if I'm taking anyone over Toyota-thon Jordan Love.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, I mean, again, the Stars showed up for Minnesota. They did what they were supposed to do. And then this Caleb Williams thing, it's not all his fault. It really isn't. There's a lot of issues. Some of it is his fault too, though. They need to, I think, number one priority, I think, has to be get a good offensive play caller for Williams.
Yeah, they need an offensive coach in the building badly. I didn't think the fumble was his fault, but he had some wacky plays. Obviously, that one play has gone viral. So he's still got a lot of work to do, which is not surprising because there was a lot of work to do last week. It's not going to get solved in a week. This is something that's going to take probably the off season. But we still see some good stuff, I think, too. Like that touchdown pass was impressive. That was a very tight window that he made. Like I still think that there's talent there that you could be impressed with, but also realize that it's a very flawed quarterback right now, and does not look like the number 1 overall pick, and it's going to take a lot of work to get to where you want him to be. So a lot of work there. Vikings did what they had to do. This is a team that wants to make a Super Bowl run, that wants the look of a Super Bowl contender, and they looked like it in this game. And I thought everybody played well on both sides of the ball. Doing this too without Stephon Gilmore, I thought there were some opportunities to throw the ball downfield, especially at the end of the game, but it was also a blowout at that time, so I don't blame them necessarily too much. Overall, I thought it was a good performance.
Yeah, we will have plenty more to talk about these 2 teams. We'll get into it when we get to our previews. Kyle, you chipped away a little bit last week. It's now just a 3-point deficit. Yeah,
feeling pretty good. This is what I needed. And then the last 3 weeks here, these are my weeks. I'm going to take the lead by the end of the season, and then the playoffs are mine this year.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. Could this be the year of Kyle? Could finally this is the 5th year now we've done this. He's still yet to win, but hey, it's no time like the present.
2025 is definitely my year. Everybody watch out.
Yeah, if you win, I mean could that start like the chain? Like people say like everything got weird once the Cubs won the World Series. Like, could that happen with you winning?
Yeah, it's about the same amount of time drought.
Yeah, I think so. Kyle, let's get into the show. Give me a game.
All right, these 2 teams have probably been the most frustrating teams this season, and with that, I don't want to pick them because it's hard to kind of get a gauge on them. I got my lock wrong last week on this team, so let's go Niners at Dolphins.
Okay, gotcha. I thought you were going for a different game actually when you started that, but because there's another combination of 2 frustrating teams that are playing. But yeah, I mean, you're correct. This Miami team is so good at times and then so inept at other times. I guess there are 2 teams that can't figure out if they're good or not, and that's tough because the Dolphins can't beat good teams but can beat bad teams. I don't know if the Niners are good or bad, so that's hard. I mean, the Dolphins are favored by 1.5 points. I think I'm going to lean San Francisco here. I just feel like, again, it tends to be like quality opponents, are able to limit this Dolphins team, but I could see it going the other way.
I could see it going the other way too, but I also am thinking I think the Niners probably have a little more motivation this week, whether, you can't really quantify that, but the Niners still have a easier path to the playoffs, in my opinion, than the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins can make up some games and get close to the Chargers, but ultimately that's going to require the Chargers to lose to the Patriots and or Raiders to end the season for Miami to make the playoffs. I know that there's still a glimmer of hope, but at the same time, I think you're kind of done at that point. I don't really know how I'm evaluating this team anymore at this point. And I think the Niners, while they still need to beat the Lions to have a shot, like we've still seen both of these teams on their best days look pretty darn good. We saw this team a couple weeks ago against the Bears late the SmackDown. They've beat up a couple teams this season. They've beaten a good Seahawks team on the road this season. So I still think there's a semblance. There's a chance this Niners team can kind of figure some things out. We haven't seen it enough this season, and it's obviously going to cost them a playoff spot most likely. But there at least is a path to them making it, and so I think that they're probably coming out a little bit more motivated, I think, than Miami at this point.
I don't really know if there's a path. I'm trying. Because you'd have to. They would need a lot of help, right? Because the Rams play the Seahawks, so one of them is going to be 9-6 at worst. One of them is going to be 9-8, and the 49ers already have 8 losses. So. I think I'd probably lean to Miami having a slightly better chance, but I think it's we're talking 3% versus 2%.
Yeah. I don't see the Chargers losing those games. I think it's more likely Seattle loses out than Chargers lose those 2 games, honestly. I know the Seahawks played the Bears, but I don't know. That's just kind of my vibe on it right now.
Yeah. Either way, we're getting lost in the weeds because I think, I don't think either is going to happen. The 49ers defense has been I think up and down this year is probably the best way to describe it. You're right. These are 2 really difficult teams to determine, they're difficult teams. I don't know what these teams are. The Niners, in terms of points per drive defensively, I think they're 9th worst. So yeah, there's opportunities for Tua.
Absolutely. There is opportunities, so we'll see how it goes. But I think both of these defenses have been up and down this season. The skill players. It's been well documented how frustrating these skill players have been. So I think it's one of those things that I could see it going either way because on their best days, both of these teams look really good, and on their worst days, both of these teams have been having us scratch our heads. So I just don't know exactly how I'm supposed to evaluate them.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, Kyle. Let's go to a game that I think is going to be a very fun one. The Denver Broncos have a chance to clinch the playoffs against the Chargers. If the Chargers win, they will almost certainly be in. Either way, both teams are in a good spot. This is the game tomorrow night. Who do you have winning?
This is a good game. I think, both of these teams, as I said earlier, are in a great spot that I still think even if the Chargers do lose this game, they have a chance to, still pretty easy path to making the playoffs. So I wouldn't stress too much about it either way if you're a Chargers fan. However, you do want to win the game still because you want the higher seed. But I am going to go with the Broncos because I just can't see it with this offense, man. This offense isn't working for me against good teams. And this defense, these are the top 2 defenses in the league. So this is going to be a slugfest. I think Justin Herbert's going to have to make some awesome throws, and he's on a bad ankle again. I think that's really tough to ask. And they've been getting a lot of stuff with Quentin Johnson on the outside, stuff like that. And I just don't see that happening against Patrick Surtain and this Broncos secondary. So I think it's more likely the Broncos can manufacture some points than the Chargers at this one, unless there's turnovers from the Broncos, which is possible because, Bo Nix has had a few interceptions this season. And that's the thing you have to watch out for.
Yeah, that is the thing. Is the Broncos have turned the ball over more than the Chargers this season, and if you can win a turnover battle, that could flip things. I agree, though. I gave you this game. I feel like I did this last week, where I kept giving you a couple games, hoping you picked the favorite, and you didn't. I'm with you. I think the Broncos. I'm surprised the Chargers are favored here. I get that. You're at home and it's a short week, but I just feel like the vibes are so low with the Chargers right now. The Broncos couldn't be higher after that big win. I know that Bo Nix hasn't played well these past couple of weeks, but I'm not I don't think I'm concerned yet. I think I would need to see it a couple more. Even if he has a bad game against the Chargers defense, I don't think I'd be super concerned. Does need to protect the football better. That's absolutely something he has to do. But yeah, sometimes these things are simple. The team that is getting blown out, and I always like to look at the Reddit pages, and the Broncos fans are thrilled, and the Chargers fans are what are we even doing here? Who cares? We even make the playoffs. We're going to be 1-0. So this, which I think the Chargers are better than that, but That's how they're playing right now.
Yeah. And I mean, it's tough, especially after their worst performance of the season, right? Like they just gave up 40. They got beat up by Tampa Bay in that game. So, maybe there's a little bounce back factor to it, but like both of these coaches are really good, by the way. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton being really good this season. But yeah, I just think you look at it and like, I just think both of these guys are going to be kind of like, let's just win field position. And I think that just favors Denver. I do. Like, I think that it's more likely that they're going to, Sean Payton's going to punt a lot in this game. He's probably going to play a little bit more conservative than people want. But at the same time, like, I just have a hard time seeing this Chargers team drive the full length of the field on this Denver defense, especially just what we've seen. And, as long as they keep them, keep Bo Nix from turning the ball over, I just see the path there seems very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And Kyle, I think this game matters more for the Chargers than you're giving it credit for. I know the Patriots and Raiders are not very good teams, but like we have seen the Patriots play better in games this season. And the Raiders, I mean, like we just said, they're playing hard, and that's a divisional game. Do I think the Chargers will win both of those games? Yes. But like, remember when the Jaguars lost to the it was the other way around. The Carson Wentz Colts lost to the 1-15 Jaguars in the final game of the season that kind of created that whole, knocked them out of the playoffs. Weird things can happen. You don't want to be in that situation. Take care of business. And, if you win this game, it just gives you margin for error.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it. Like, definitely, you don't want to be stuck in the situation of having to win week 17 and 18. But at the same time, like, I just look at this in like if you lose one of those two games, then you just don't deserve to make playoffs, right? So
yeah,
that is the issue. But yeah, I mean, I think they should win both of them. We'll see. Obviously, you don't want to leave it up to that chance, but I think the big thing about this game is like, I mean, like you'd rather play Pittsburgh or Baltimore than Buffalo, right? Like that's just the difference. You want that seeding to you want to play the right team, it feels like, in the playoffs, especially, I would rather play either of those two teams than Buffalo in the round one.
Yeah, that's a great point. I completely agree. So it should be a fun game tomorrow night. Let's move on, Kyle. Give me a game.
Not so fun game. Jaguars at Raiders.
Yeah, I thought you were going with this earlier. So the fact that I have to pick the 49ers and the Raiders in a week is tough, but that's what I'm doing. Picking the Raiders. Again, we just said weirdly both of these teams have like been kind of, I don't know, plucky these past couple weeks all of a sudden. But like, I don't know. Even when Mac Jones looks good, it just doesn't look good, Kyle. His celebrations need work.
Celebrations, definitely. Yeah. I would agree with that. But yeah, it's I think I'm with you, but at the same time, I think both of these defenses have weirdly played better, and that makes it a factor. So it'd be a big win for me if the Jaguars could pull it off, because I think the Patriots would move to the number 2 spot in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, based on strength of schedule, because they still have an easier schedule than the Panthers. So, I'm probably rooting for the Jaguars today, but I do think the Raiders I'm probably rooting for the Raiders today and in this game, and yeah, I think that they can. I think they can pull it off for sure.
Kyle, what's crazy is the Raiders could fall all the way to number 7 with a win. And that's what's on the line. They need to really be praying for a good Mac Jones performance.
they need some fortune on their side for this one.
Could you imagine if they end up with pick 7 in the draft after this season?
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, the funny thing is like, it feels like the worst kept secret is who the Raiders want to draft next season, which was the same thing last year with Michael Penix, right? And then someone took Michael Penix over them, and it just feels like they're doing it again. Where like this could be, if they end up with the 7th pick, everybody in the world knows they want Shedeur Sanders theoretically, and then now you're at a point where you're probably going to have to trade up to get Shedeur Sanders, or you're going to have to figure something else out, because he's definitely not going to be there at that point.
It's going to be great when they just get another good wide receiver and Aiden O'Connell's back for another year. They can't get another quarterback again.
Yeah, they're stuck with Desmond Ridder is back in the building. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, I think so. The Jaguars also have, definitely they need to make sure that they can. They would fall to. I believe they would also fall to 7 if they win here. So, a big game for both draft picks.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They got it. They're sticking with their quarterback next year.
Yes, and I'm sure the best athlete on the board will still be there at 7, so they'll be okay.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, they'll be okay there. A lot of implications though. Yeah, I mean that is huge because that is a tough. That is a strength of schedule of 538 is not easy.
Yeah, so gotta just lose, baby. Gotta find a way. Oh, I didn't mention it during the preview. The Falcons Twitter account tweeting out like just win, baby, after they won that abysmal game against the Raiders. Like, how do you? That's the lamest diss of all time.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's not a great flex to beat the 2-win team 15-9. Good job,
barely
guys.
survive it and then do the flexing your muscles after. It's not good.
Yeah, that's a tough look. I agree.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this game? I mean, again, I think we don't think we get too into the X's and O's probably.
No, I'm good. Let's move on.
Okay, Kyle, I'm gonna reach here because I don't want to pick this game. This is the most insane line I've ever seen. Steelers, Ravens. Who do you got? I knew you were going to pick it early too. I had to do it.
Yeah, this was next on my list.
God
darn it. I'm struggling because part of me thinks they're saving George Pickens for this. They saved George Pickens for this game, but he also still isn't practicing. So I don't know. I feel like I have to go under the pretense that I don't think George Pickens is playing again. And in that case, I have to take the Ravens because we've just seen this Pittsburgh offense without Pickens. Because he was a non-participant in practice again today, according to the reports. I think in that case, I have to go the Ravens. I wanted to avoid this. I would not bet Ravens -6.5. I mean, we know the history of these two teams, how they defend Lamar Jackson. They've done very good at it. Steelers fans are going to be in the comments. But yeah, I just think we've seen so much of this offense, 2 weeks of this offense now without George Pickens, and I just cannot be convinced it's going to work. So yeah, give me the Ravens.
Picking Lamar Jackson to beat the Steelers defense, Kyle. It's a dangerous game. Kieran, our resident Ravens fan in the chat, says 6.5 makes me sick. Yeah, I mean, again, we did this last week where we said how is the line 5.5 for the Steelers, and then they got beat by double digits. So sometimes the people in the desert know more than we do, but. I mean, again, it's just the Steelers have this way of beating up on their division, except for the Browns this season. Usually they do a very good job at being able to limit the, Burrow and Lamar. Burrow had a good game this year against them, but Lamar did not. And I think that's what you have to figure out. It's can that be fixed?
Can it be fixed? Indeed. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions that go into that. I mean, They really limit him in the passing game. And I mean, in both the running game too. He only had 4 carries in that game. And, I just look at that game last week where they didn't really have to run him and Henry a whole lot because, that game was over by halftime. They wanted to throw the ball. And you just think like they have to get Lamar in motion a lot this game, right? They have to get him moving. They have to get him. He has to have greater than 10. He has to have way more than 4 carries to me in this game. You have to keep this defense on its toes. Not to mention, there's also the fact that TJ Watt was a limited participant in practice too, so he may not be even 100%, although I think he is going to play. But yeah, it just comes down to can the Ravens find ways to get Lamar kind of in motion, active in this game, and not, a passer standing back there deep in the pocket? That's just not how he's most successful.
Yeah, I was curious. So I looked it up. According to StatMuse, which sometimes they get a little wonky, but if they're correct, Lamar Jackson against the Steelers has a passer rating of 66.7 in his career against Pittsburgh. I mean, that's crazy low numbers. So yeah, I mean, this is I believe he's never had a game over a passer rating over 81 against them. So that's I mean, they know how to limit him. It's a real thing.
Yeah. And then not to mention the Pickens thing too. I keep harping on this, but he had 8 catches for 89 yards. They had 205 passing yards in that game on 23 completions. He was their biggest piece of the offense in that game. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be essential if he's not out there. And the Ravens can't let that game get away from them if he's not there.
We also have to talk about implications for this game. So, currently, as it stands right now, the Steelers have a 1-game lead over the Ravens, but that's okay. The Steelers can lose a game, they win their next two, they would get the division. The issue is they play the Chiefs the next week, so they have to win one of these next two against either the Ravens or the Chiefs to keep that division lead. Baltimore, they play the Texans and the Browns to finish the season. So, like, this game probably will determine who wins the division. I think that's fair to say. Not definitely, but like, there's a good chance it does.
And look, I know that they do well in their division, but I mean, like that Bengals game week 18 isn't easy either. You know, that game was 44-38 the last time those two teams played. So, you know, even if they split these two games, you know, they still got to win week 18 too. So, like, you got to get any win you can in order to hold off that division win.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be a fun game. Any more thoughts or ready to move
on? We can move on. Great game.
Great Kyle, give me a game.
Let's do Titans at Colts.
Okay. Yeah. This was second highest on my list remaining because, again, how do you feel that comfortable picking the stupid Colts? Kyle, when I did my tier rankings on Monday, I created a new tier for the Colts, and it was just a stupid tier, and that's where I put them.
Yeah, that checks out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what a weird game. I still think they're a better team. I don't know if they're a dominant team. I do know if they're a dominant team. The answer is they're not. But I think that there is some, you know, again, I think the defense has played a lot better. I do think Jonathan Taylor is very good when he's not dropping the ball, you know, at the goal line. They beat the Titans earlier this year by 3 points. That was Will Levis in that game, who did not play well. They're going to go with Mason Rudolph this time, which I think will probably be a little bit of a boost for the Titans. So we'll see what happens. It's a good pick. You know, I think 3.5 points feels too high for the Colts.
Yeah, it always feels too high for the Colts, especially when they haven't been able to throw the ball. So, yeah, I think that is high. But you know, this Colts team has more talent and should win this game. And honestly, they should cover 3.5 if they were playing their best. But we haven't seen it this season, so their backs are against the wall at this point. They need a lot to go in their favor for a chance to make the playoffs. But yeah, they should take care of business in this game. But you know, it's going to end in something stupid.
I was trying to look up what's the best Colts performance this season. I forgot they beat the Steelers. That was the Joe Flacco game.
Yeah, their last 7 games here. It's lost to the Texans by 3, lost to the Vikings by 8, lost to the Bills by 10, beat the Jets by 1. Lost to the Lions in big fashion, and then beat the Patriots by 1, and then lost to the Broncos by that game. Like, this team hasn't been convincing in a very, very long time.
No. But maybe, again, easy. They have to win out to make the playoffs, but a very easy schedule: Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. Come on, Colts, give us some victories. I want to keep being able to do playoff scenarios. Don't close the door on.
No, yeah. No, I mean, it'd be fun. I mean, they should make it go down to the final week. I mean, look at the Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. Like, come on, man, just go get it done. It's such a weird season. Like they have 2 wins by 5 and 6 points. They don't have a single double-digit win, you know, and they play in the AFC South, and they can't pull this off.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. Anything for the Titans?
No.
Yeah.
It's been a rough season. You know, the Mike Vrabel stuff has been interesting because now it's you know, we're all doing I mean, it was a controversial firing to begin with, and now we're going back and saying it's even worse than what it was. I mean, I don't know if this is all on the coach. This isn't a very talented team on offense, at least. I know they added a lot on defense, but like, I just don't know exactly what the expectations was for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's, again, they're one of the many teams currently in a rebuild. We'll see what they do with that. Let's move on, Kyle. Let's go to. I'm gonna give you a game. I'm glad I don't have to pick this game again. You always pick me the bad games. I pick you the good. I give you the good ones. Texans Chiefs.
All right. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs because it seems like Mahomes is gonna play. However, this would flip immediately if he's rolled out. So I'm not going to lock it because of that, because I think it's too risky. But yeah, I think if Mahomes plays, I like the Chiefs in this game. If he doesn't play, I mean, it's fairly obvious. If he's not playing, I'm not trusting Carson Wentz in this game. with that Chiefs roster. So yeah, give me the Chiefs for now. But I know the risk I'm taking.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this line opened with the Texans being 2-point favorites because it seemed like Mahomes definitely wasn't going to play. Now that it seems like he might play, it's -2.5 Chiefs. How crazy is that? That it's a 4.5-point swing just if Mahomes might play. It's not even like if he is playing or isn't playing. It's just like the odds got better of him playing, and that moved the line 4.5 points.
Yeah, no, I mean it says a lot about the feeling on Mahomes, but he did practice today, from what I read. So I'm hoping that means that he is going to play, but it could be a precautionary thing. This Texans team's definitely been frustrating this season. Another one, but like they got a good win. The defense played really well last week. Hopefully that could be some momentum. And even if Mahomes plays, this isn't an easy game. Obviously, I think we have maligned the Texans and sort of disregarded them, but this is a very good defense. Like, it's not Pittsburgh level defense, but like this team can cover. They got 2 edge guys. We know obviously what the issues with the Chiefs and those offensive tackles. That's going to be really tough. And if Mahomes isn't 100% and he's playing and running for his life, like these guys can definitely get after him and hit him in the backfield. So teams have been able to do that all season on the Chiefs, and it's going to be even harder if Mahomes can't run like he's used to.
Yeah, and I think, you look at the Texans, they're 9th best in points per drive this season, but they've had some games where they've just looked dominant too. Like, they had certain matchups and I think they can play good teams well. I mean, we got to do the thing too. I feel like, everyone made fun of the Texans for drafting Derek Stingley over Sauce Gardner. Not looking like a horrible decision now.
No, he's looked really good. So yeah, I mean, they got some good players out there. I mean, they obviously don't have Azeez Al-Shaair, but they have, plenty of guys in the front 7. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are going to have their ears pinned back. Oh
my God. I mean, the left tackle situation for the Chiefs in this game. Kyle, I'm on the Texans. I picked the Texans to win this. I said I would never pick against the Chiefs. I think I like the Texans in this matchup.
Is it just because Mahomes isn't 100% or because...
Yeah, if Mahomes was 100%, I'm never picking against a fully healthy Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, that's not true. I picked against them all the time. But like, that would swing it. But yeah, Mahomes not 100%, won't be able to move as much. The left tackle situation against these edge rushers, that's just too much.
If this was a playoff game, same injury, this was a playoff game, would you pick the Texans right now?
Oh, I'd lock up the Chiefs. No, yeah, if it's the playoffs, that's absolutely.
That's just yeah. I mean, I get it. So I just think it is interesting though. Like, I just think that they should be able to dominate those edge guys, and then if Mahomes can't move, that's obviously an issue. But like, so they've been slowly ramping up Isaiah Pacheco since he come back from injury. This kind of feels like the game you should probably lean on him, right? Like, I know that the Texans have a pretty good front, even on the run defense. Like, they have some guys up there. But like, I think you kind of just have to go with him, right? You have to be able to lean on that, knowing your quarterback's not 100% and knowing that you don't have the, the bodies on the outside and tackle position to be able to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think so. And I also think that if you're the Texans, like, you don't let them run the ball. I think you challenge them to throw the ball, as crazy as that sounds, which is probably the best strategy right now.
Yeah. We finally won't see too high safety coverage. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
We haven't really seen it as much. I mean, again, what's going to happen with single safety? Xavier Worthy will get open and then catch the ball and jump out of bounds, so he can't get it. Doesn't get the completion. Like it's, you're not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Patrick Mahomes though.
It is, but I mean, he can't throw it and catch it too, as a wise woman once said.
Who was that?
Tom Brady's ex-wife, I think, is who that was. Kyle, any final thoughts on this one, or ready to move on?
No, we can move on. Fascinating stuff there for sure.
Yeah. Okay, my turn to give you. No, your turn to give me a game.
Yes.
Who you got?
Let's go Eagles at Balls.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating one. I am interested in, we don't really touch on it on the recap show, but Marshawn Lattimore came in and didn't get targeted for his first game against Washington, or for Washington. Now against the Saints, not exactly the highest degree of competition. And I think part of it too is usually you don't have to worry too much about who you target when you're playing Washington. So like, it might just be hey, let's just throw on the other side, but that still matters. Putting him on AJ Brown, I'm interested in seeing how that will go. it was a weird game the first time these two teams played because I thought the Eagles were the better team, and yet Washington had like the lead in the fourth quarter. And then Philadelphia kind of just ran away with it in the fourth quarter. I'm picking the Eagles. I think the Eagles are just, again, they're doing so much stuff well. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can we see the return of the Jaden Daniels kind of, awesome offensive performance? It didn't happen last time to play the Eagles. I'm going to bet no here, but I guess that is the one thing you can look at if you're a Commanders fan.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case for it. I think we've seen a return to form for the offense. We want to see a little bit more explosiveness out of them, though, than last week because it definitely cooled off after halftime. But I still think overall it's been a pretty good group, and they have some dynamism. And yeah, we need to see if they can go after this Eagles defense. I mean, I think there's a case for it. I think they still have talented players on offense. But it is hard to pick against this Eagles defense in the way they're playing. Never mind that the offense got into a groove last week, was able to throw the ball, and should theoretically be able to move the ball pretty easily on this Washington defense, even if Lattimore is even able to have success against AJ Brown. So, I think Washington is rightfully underdogs in this game. I think it's going to be a tough one, but at the same time, we've seen Jaden Daniels' magic and we've seen him play well the last 2 weeks. I think there's a case for it.
Yeah, I agree. I also think we talk about usually passing, but obviously the running game matters a lot, especially with these two teams who run the ball very effectively. The Eagles are one of the best run defenses in the league. They're second best in terms of rush EPA. The Commanders 25th. Saquon Barkley had a big game last time. I'm going to expect it to go again. I think it might be a lower possession game, so I can't lock up the Eagles. But if I had to pick with the line, I would still lean Eagles.
Eagles -3.5. Yeah, that's probably the right play. I think they can win this one by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think so. But again, implications. Eagles need this really to try to keep the hopes of the 1 seed alive. The Commanders, if they win this game, they're basically they're feeling great about their playoffs hopes. Lose it, they have to win against Atlanta in 2 weeks, probably, unless Atlanta drops a stupid one, which they could. But probably Washington's going to need to win one of these next two. But should be a fun game.
Yeah, definitely a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. But it definitely feels like the Eagles, with a lot still at stake here, should be able to get the 1 seed this year if they take care of business in this one.
You say should be able to get the 1 seed?
I mean, I think so. I think, it's not crazy to say Detroit's going to drop, potentially the Vikings game end of the season at that point.
Well, but then they would need another Vikings loss as well for it to happen. I think
they both have 2 losses.
Possible. What's that?
They both have 2 losses.
Yeah, right. I believe the Vikings would have the tiebreaker in that scenario over the Eagles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's if it's a 3-way tie, the Vikings would get it. If it's a 2-way tie, then I think maybe the Eagles would get it. I'm trying to remember, but I think they would need like multiple Lions losses or both the Lions and the Vikings to lose a game.
The Lions and Eagles are both 12-2, right? So they just need, if it's a 2-way tie between the Vikings and the Eagles, if the Eagles get it, then the Eagles would be the 1 seed.
Okay, then I think you're right. I'm remembering it wrong. Sorry. It's the Vikings would have the tiebreaker regardless over the Eagles. That's what it was.
Okay.
So they need both. The Eagles need to win out, and they need a Lions loss and a Vikings loss. They play each other, so that'll take care of one of those losses, but they'll need a little bit more help.
Yeah. So they just need the Packers to beat the Vikings and then the Vikings to beat the Lions. There we go.
Except in that scenario, then the Vikings might rest their starters because
they have nothing to play for. Yeah, that's true. We'll see.
So yeah, we'll see. I think it's possible. I'm just saying I wouldn't go as far as to say I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on, Kyle. Got lost in the weeds there a little bit. I'll give you a game. Let's talk about those Minnesota Vikings playing the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Vikings in this game. I think that they're the better team. They should win. They look very good on Monday night. Seattle has had its up and down performances for sure. We've talked a lot about it. I think the defense has played better later in the season. I think even at times last week, I thought their defense did okay. But like Jordan Love still had a lot of success in that game. And that was also at home in Seattle. Oh, boy. There's a dog. I just think that I'm looking at this game and I think Minnesota has more answers than Seattle does. So I give them the win.
Is someone at your door or something? What's happening?
I don't know what's going on, man. They just love barking.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, why don't you join in on the podcast? I get it. We talk about the up and down nature of, I think, kind of several things with both these teams. The Vikings defense has, for the most part, just been defense is always going to be a little fluky, but it's been a consistently good defense this year. I do
Mhm.
think we've seen some, again, the Darnold turnovers are a thing. Can Seattle win a turnover battle and win that way? I think that's possible. I certainly think that's possible. Also, for me, what I'm fascinated with is if the Vikings like to do this pressure stuff, do we see a DK Metcalf down the field or a Jackson Smith and Jigba probably over the middle and one-on-one play where you can get some big chunk plays? Again, it seems like the way you beat the Vikings is by getting more big plays than them.
Yeah. And we've seen them have a little bit more opportunity downfield against the Vikings defense, especially with Stephon Gilmore missing the last 2 games. So if he's able to come back, I think that helps a little bit. But having Gilmore out there, I think, is a huge impact for them too, as far as stopping the one-on-one stuff on the outside. So yeah, I think there's a case for it. And I agree with everything you said. That's probably the pathway to the Seahawks victory. But I really like Geno Smith too. I think he's had a very good season, but he's also got to take care of the ball in his own right. He's had some turnover issues this season. He's someone that has to play a little bit better if he wants to get the best version of the Seahawks offense. And so, yeah, I just think that if I'm looking at those, I think there's a case for Seattle to have some success against this Minnesota defense, but I still think Minnesota's offense has more answers than Seattle's at this point.
Yeah, huge win for the, again, talk about the implications. We already kind of brought up what the Vikings need for the 1 seed. If they win out, they get the 1 seed, so they control their own destiny. Want to make sure they get this victory here because they play the Packers and then the Lions the next 2 games. Tough schedule to win out, but at least you control your own destiny. And then for Seattle, they got to make sure they keep pace with the Rams, trying to make sure that they can, at the very least, have that final game be to decide the division.
Yeah. No, I think that there is a There is a case for both sides. I mean, this is a huge game for both teams still. But Seattle, I still think Seattle's probably looking at this like our biggest game is still Week 18. That is the biggest game of the season, and that's where they probably have to try. That's where they're going to try and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
We are going to go with the Rams at Jets.
Yeah, it was next on my list as well, just because the Jets are weird. They're all of a sudden playing good football these past couple of weeks, which I don't fully understand. Devontae Adams looks like Devontae Adams again. Aaron Rodgers is back to early season Aaron Rodgers playing better football. The defense still isn't very good. There still are too many issues, and the Jets are the Jets. So ultimately, the Rams, who just have everything to play for, I think Stafford and this Rams offense should have no trouble moving the ball and finding a way to get a victory. But it's a weird enough game that I get picking it here.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird game. The Jets are a weird team.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we start, did you give your vaccination status before giving your opinion on the Jets? I just need to make sure if we need to do that first.
I think we did that a podcast like a year ago or so. I think we already did that bit.
Yeah, as long as we have to, I just want to make sure our vaccination status out there before, so everyone can judge these opinions accordingly. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I just, yeah, I mean they look good. I mean it was the Jaguars, but they looked good that last week. I mean you can even argue that they had a case. I mean, there was a scenario where they probably win their last 4 games even. They probably should have beat the Colts. They had a chance to beat the Seahawks. That Dolphins game, they played very well in the first half. There is a case that the Jets have played their best football the last 4 weeks and just have managed to go 1-3 somehow. But it's still not enough for me. And I think overall too, I'm looking at it we haven't seen the best version of this defense all year. So I just think it's how are they going to contain this Rams offense when they're not playing through a thunderstorm has looked really good this season. So I just think that's a tough thing to look at.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's I mean, I don't know. It's a game that I don't know what to say. I covered it. I covered it immediately. We got it. The Rams are solid. The Jets are stupid. They should be in the stupid tier also.
Yeah, just a lower stupid tier than the Colts. Somehow a little bit lower. Although those two teams play pretty close. They could be in the same tier, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Could I mean? I guess we've seen the Rams defense give up some points. Could that happen? Could we see a good offensive showing? I think that's possible.
Yeah, I think both of these teams can score. That's the thing.
Right, but that could be the issue if you're a Rams fan, right? If you lose a turnover battle or something and you're giving up points, there's a pathway to victory for the Jets.
Yeah. I feel like the Rams are just kind of running that risk every week, right? But you have to trust Stafford in this offense. So, I think that is probably the case that the Rams could make, but I think their defense obviously played really well last week. And I mean, honestly, I think the second half of the season, the defense has been passable, just not when it's playing, Josh Allen or the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. Rams after this play the Cardinals and the Seahawks, so definitely they have. You might be looking ahead a little bit. We'll see what happens. Let's move on. Let's go. So time for me to give you a game, Kyle. I'll give you. This could be a lock candidate. I'll give it to you anyway. Bucks Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock it up.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna lock it up. Why not? I had another game that I liked a little bit more, but I want to make sure I get a game that I feel comfortable with. I don't know how you look at I know the Cowboys defense has played better since some of their guys have come back. DeRon Bland's back in the fold. Micah Parsons back in the mix. This group has looked good. So I give them that credit. I don't know how you look at what the Buccaneers did last week and say that the Cowboys are the same caliber of team, honestly. They beat up that Chargers team. I think that they should be able to move the ball enough on offense. And then I just think that the Cowboys, I know they look pretty good against the Panthers. That's a different caliber of team than the Buccaneers. And I think that the Buccaneers should have a lot of success in this game and win it by a touchdown.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's unique with this team where the Cowboys are, for the Buccaneers, who obviously need realistically they might not need to go 3-0 to make the playoffs. 2-1 probably would be enough to get in, but you definitely want to go 3-0 to just not have to worry about it. Kind of similar to what we were talking about with the Chargers. You want to have that margin for error. I do kind of feel like this is a game that weirdly feels like the Cowboys have a chance. You have seen them play better football as of late, as you were kind of the first one talking about. They killed the Panthers. They nearly beat the Bengals. It took a fluke play to lose that game. They did beat the Giants and they beat the Commanders. So like the past, 4 games, it's been impressive. Now it was horrible up until that point, but they have played impressive the past 4 games. So I don't know. I think I could see this. It's a Sunday night game. You have the concern if you're a neutral, like, is this game just going to stink? I could see it not stinking.
Yeah, I just think there's just so many professionals on this defense. I feel like that they have enough to kind of cause a little bit of problems, at least. Like I said, it's just like you saw Eric Kendricks make a play in that game too last week. There's a couple guys I think on this team that can make some things happen. And look, I mean, Cooper Rush is not a starting quarterback. He is a capable backup quarterback, I think is the right term for him. But at the same time, I think the thing Cooper Rush has done well the last couple of weeks is you know what? I'm just going to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb. And that's not a bad offensive strategy sometimes. And then we're going to hand the ball off to Rico Dowdle when we have to. And they got this Ezekiel Elliott garbage out of the offense. That's generally a good strategy, is put your best playmakers in positions to succeed. And Cooper Rush does not have an arm that's going to beat you. He doesn't have the legs to beat you or anything like that. But they have playmakers that can go make a couple plays in this game. And maybe a couple plays is all you need to win it.
Kyle, I've seen far too many times a nobody backup coming in and torching this Buccaneers defense for me to feel too comfortable in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you have the history for it. So Tampa Bay's got to exercise some demons here is what I think.
Yeah, hopefully Dak Prescott actually comes back. That would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, if you see the best version of Baker, we've seen these running backs play really well. And, even though I like DeRon Bland, I think he's a good player. I mean, he probably should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year. We talked about that a lot. But at the same time, I don't think Mike Evans is his best matchup either. I think he's better suited for certain situations. I'm not sure Mike Evans' size is something he really wants to deal with on the outside.
Yeah, Mike Evans on 1,000-yard watch now with the big game. He needs 249 yards in the last 3 games. So could see him if there's a one-on-one matchup, them taking the shot, which they would do anyway.
Yeah, they got to get it to him. So he's got to get a $120 again in this week. Let's make it happen, man.
Yeah. Because Kieran says, have my thoughts changed? Kind of. I mean, yeah. I think I'm leaning towards. I think they'll probably find a way to get it to him. Hopefully, it happens.
I mean, he's looked really good the last 2 weeks. I mean, he looks healthy, and I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, man. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's looked terrific.
Yeah. Let's move on. Kyle, time for you to give me a game.
All right. So I locked up the Buccaneers. I will jot that down, and then I'm going to give you the let's go Browns, Bengals.
Okay. Yeah. It's this is a. I mean, I'm picking the Bengals to win. We have the Dorian Thompson Robinson led Cleveland Browns now. No Jameis Winston, which is again. I mean, we're completely rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic here, but I kind of understand it too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess see what you got.
Actually,
like
you were saying that the Browns should keep Jameis Winston next year, so you're very anti this move.
I mean, I don't think Dorian Thompson Robinson's any good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just straight up. Like, my argument for Jameis, like, I know it wasn't good last week, but like, you know, you were getting your best out of guys like Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku with him in, and like, is he the best quarterback in the world? Obviously not. You know, we've seen plenty of evidence of Jameis Winston not being a great quarterback, but like, if you're going to get the best out of your skill guys with a certain quarterback, why not just play them? What is the case? We've seen Dorian Thompson Robinson on this team for several years now. That's been, like, at that point, play Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. Because like again, we've seen now with Jameis Winston, like, oh, hey, Jerry Jeudy's a real player. Like we didn't know that when you had bad quarterback. Like we kind of talked about earlier, there is value you get out of having a quarterback like Jameis Winston in because he lets you know what the talent around the roster in a way that I'm not sure if Dorian Thompson Robinson will. But again, maybe it might be part of it too. Is they're currently in line for the 7th overall pick. The Browns are. We know they're going to move up at least one spot. There might be a little bit of a hey, let's not. It's not the worst thing in the world to drop these last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's just it's frustrating. I'm not a big tanking guy, in case you haven't noticed.
Yes. Are you still rooting for the Patriots to win?
Yeah, I don't like losing. Like, I don't like watching losses, especially when I know my team is trying to lose. That's not a fun thing. I don't like encouraging this. This is the problem I have with American sports. NBA is going through this issue right now where everyone wants to talk about the ratings. This is a tangent, so I'm going to go here for a minute.
No,
I think it's everyone wants to talk about the NBA ratings and why they're down, and it's like, you know what? I don't think it's great for the product straight up. Like, I don't generally care because I don't really care about TV ratings. I think it's a stupid conversation topic. It doesn't bother me at all how much these guys get paid. Like, I don't care. But in general, like, I don't think it's great for the TV product if you start an NBA season and 20 teams, the results of games do not matter for 20 teams. Like the teams, there are 10 teams instantly trying to lose, and then there are 10 teams that probably cannot win a championship. Generally there's always going to be situations where certain teams cannot win championships because of personnel. But like, I don't know. I don't love the idea of encouraging teams to tank. Like, honestly, I tweeted it today. The Premier League is the best sports league in the world right now. They have the best action, best drama, best entertainment. And the best thing about it is every game matters for all these teams because you can't finish last. You know what happens when you finish last? You go down to a lower league. Like, I'm not saying everyone needs promotion relegation, but like every game matters. And like the games with the worst teams are almost more entertaining than the games with the best team because there's so much at stake with like the dollars at stake of going down. And like, I don't love the idea of like, okay, we're just going to throw our season away with 3 games left.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a thing that exists, but it is an annoying aspect. I still think you got to do the idea I came up with many years ago of make John Fox have to be the head coach for a year after you when you go. If whoever's the worst team in the league, that's what has to happen.
You just got to pick. What if it's Hugh Jackson? Is that enough incentive not to take?
I think Hugh Jackson for the next year, and then if you have the worst overall pick again, you have to keep him on as head coach.
Yeah, you just keep him. Yeah, that is that is a good one.
The Browns would not be tanking in that scenario.
And you have to have Hard Knocks with Hugh Jackson each year.
Oh, that's good. Yes, that's good too. You have to have Hard Knocks as well. I agree. The Hugh Jackson Hard Knocks was must-see, much-watch television.
Yeah, that was the only time that a tanking team was worth it.
Yeah, that was great. That was good. Kyle, I'm going to lock up this game. I'm going to lock up the Bengals.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Dorian Thompson Robinson's not an NFL quarterback, so I get it.
Guess his touchdown interception ratio in his career.
Not good. I'm going to say it's I'm going to say he has in total 5 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
Okay, he's played a little less than maybe you're expecting, but he's because he has 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions.
All right, well, that is
Average
that's
yards
not
per
ideal.
attempt of 3.7.
Do you think there's like a group for this, like a Facebook group of like it's him, Tim Boyle, yeah, Nathan Peterman's there. Like who else is in that committee?
There's a few.
Sean Kaiser.
It's that's right. There's a few players. Again, got to be a great guy, Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, I would agree. So, like, I'm sure he's a very nice individual. I just, he's not an NFL player.
The Bucs had a guy. I'm trying to remember his name now. The Bucs had a 4th string quarterback for like 9 years. He was the guy who helped Brady off the boat, which is like the one thing. He never got a pass. I forget his name now, but they had an all timer, it proves he's an all timer because I can't even remember his name. Chase Daniel's another guy who he's someone who was in the league for like 12 years and like threw like 3 passes.
Yeah, he was in the conversation for sure. But then like some of those guys were also like pretty good backups, but like Chase Daniel never had to play. It was so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, that was good. Kyle, I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you a game I think you avoided giving me due to a potential lock. Cardinals at Panthers.
Yeah, I got the Cardinals. This was another game I kind of wanted to lock up. I mean, I just listen. I'm not like fully convinced on this Cardinals team. I know they looked good last week. That Patriots team is just a bit of a mess, obviously. But yeah, I just think that this is 2 different caliber of teams, and like the Cardinals should handle business here. So yeah, give me the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much to overreact to that, or I guess how much to react to that Panthers loss, because like I do think they had been playing better. They had a month of like really good football, even though they were losing games, and then they had just an awful game. Are they still a scrappy team? Can they give trouble to this Arizona team? But again, the Cardinals, who have had their low moments this season, this is a game I fully expect them to win. This is not a situation where, like, I think I do trust them in this situation, even if they're a team that I kind of, similar to how they beat the Patriots last week. It's like, I just feel like their offense is going to play well enough. Kyler's going to have a really good day, and it's just not really going to matter what Bryce Young does.
Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things, like, I'm not fully convinced on Kyler Murray, obviously. We've talked a lot about him this season and, like, his up and down play. But it just kind of feels like when he's the most talented and athletic guy on the field, he's probably going to have success.
Yeah.
I think, like, when they play good teams, I have a lot of questions about him. And you look at their losses, it's basically all playoff teams, and, like, the Seahawks, who are the 8th seed, are the teams they lost to. Like, I think we're seeing a breed of quarterback that are kind of in that same tier. It's him, it's Tua, just these guys when they play good teams and good defenses and organized defenses. I think it's a different game for them. But, like, he's way more talented than anyone on the Panthers. So I think that's where his athleticism is going to make a difference.
Yeah. I think for the Panthers, really what you want to see is just Bryce Young to look better again. Michael had a chat. This is early on in the show. I missed it then, but I'll talk about it now. Jackson, I'm sorry I told you for not picking the Panthers till late last week. How dare I believe in my team? Yeah, unfortunate. Finally, the Panthers were favored for the first time in like 2 seasons, like 32 straight games, and then they ultimately completely lay an egg. Not great.
Yeah. Tough break. I did try to warn you.
Yeah, that was in hindsight, maybe not my best call. I believed in them. I was wrong. It happens. Let's move on, Kyle. Give me a game.
Did I give you that game? No, you gave me that one. Never mind. Let's do Giants Falcons.
Yep. Next on my list as well. The line is actually wrong here. I can fix it. It's because with the I mean, again, shows where we're at with Kirk Cousins, with Michael Penix, a quarterback who has never played in the NFL outside of a few snaps in garbage time, still moves the line up to actually I stand corrected. It hurt the line weirdly enough. Brings it down 2 points, which I'm a little surprised by. But I guess it's a quarterback who's never played before. There's that X factor there, but still, the Falcons, with all this turmoil, a quarterback who's never played before, find themselves 7.5 point favorites. Kyle, is it enough? I'm picking the Falcons to win, obviously. Is it enough? Do you think that the Falcons cover?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've been saying I don't like this team all season. I think that they're fraudulent. However, I'm picking this game fourth to last for no reason to the Giants whatsoever. Like, it's because it's a quarterback making his first ever start, and that's a scary proposition. But like, what a way to get your first ever start! Like, this is a pretty easy defense. I think you're going at like, he should, you know, I'd be a bit concerned, honestly, even for his first ever start if he struggles in this game, because like, I don't know, there's just, with Dexter Lawrence on IR, like, I'm just not looking forward to watching this Giants team ever. Like, they have injuries and it's a bad defense when guys are healthy. Like, I just don't I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest X factor really is, like, the Giants are a bad team. The biggest X factor really is, like, what if Michael Penix just struggles because he's a player playing in his first NFL game, and sometimes guys don't do well in that situation.
Yeah. The good news is, like, he could struggle and they win this game by, a touchdown still.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, like, I don't know, is Tim Boyle starting this game?
Is he? I didn't check that. I think it's. I thought it was Drew Lock.
Turn back to Drew Lock. Here we go.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I might change my pick. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, the difference between Tim Boyle and Drew Lock is a significant one.
Yeah, that is probably true. So, yeah, it's not great. It's not great for the Giants. What do you do this offseason? Everyone's fired, right?
Yeah, I mean, fire who you can. I mean, again, they're another team that has to make sure that they keep losing, because they would also fall to the 7th overall pick if they win a game. Currently at pick 2. So I mean, yeah, I mean, get a quarterback, maybe trade for another defensive lineman, and you're good.
I don't know. Have you seen that secondary play this season?
Yeah, no, I was joking about the defensive lineman stuff. I mean, I think they got to continue to pump up. I mean, I think the offense is actually like, there's some pieces they need to fill it out a little more. I think draft the quarterback and try to fill out the offense more. That would be what I mean, that's always my strategy. If you're a bad team, try to find a quarterback and try to build up the offense.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little flashes out of Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy. I still like Wan'Dale Robinson, maybe as a number 3 guy, not a number 2, but like, there are pieces there. So yeah, I mean, you can make the argument for it. Plus, a healthy Andrew Thomas, you still need some help on that offensive line, and you need a lot of help on defense, even beyond just Dexter Lawrence. So yeah, it's a long rebuild.
Could there be with I know no Dexter Lawrence, but you have some good defensive linemen for the Giants in this game. We've seen the Falcons struggle to pass block. Could that be some issues with Michael Penix, who again is not going to be used to the speed of the NFL game just because he hasn't played in it before?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case for it, but it still feels like we're looking at a team that should have its success. Like, I don't know. Is this Giants defensive line good? Like, Brian Burns, I think, has been fine this season, but like, I don't know. Does Raheem Nunez-Roches like do it for you? I just don't know.
Well, of course, yeah. Nacho.
Yeah. Kayvon Thibodeau obviously has been, I feel like we're looking at names rather than players at this point. Like, I think Burns he's not as good as his contract, I don't think, or how much they traded for him, but I think he's been pretty good. But I think the rest of the guys, like, is this actually names or is this actual players, or are they just names at this point?
Yeah, I was curious. I checked the PFF stats. They are 8th best in the league, but of course that's with Dexter Lawrence for most of the season, so that's a big factor.
Well, not only that, like, I think Azeez Ojulari was probably their, outside of Burns, he might have been their next best edge guy, and he's out too. So I'm not as convinced as the healthy guys are as good.
Yeah, no, not a great spot for the Giants. This is really an ideal spot for Penix to make his first start, which I think is smart. Let him ease into it a little bit. Kyle, I'm going to give you a game. I like to give you divisional games this late into the show. I'll give you Lions Bears.
Yeah, this is next on my list. I mean, it makes sense. The other ones are double-digit spreads for a reason. I'm picking the Lions. I have some concerns for the Lions going forward in a playoff run for a team that for a long time looked like the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Just a little decimated by injuries. We've touched on all of that. However, this is not the game I'm concerned about for them. Their offense should have its way. Picking the Lions.
Yeah, the Bears have lost 8 straight games. Maybe the closest they were to winning a game, I guess, Packers game was probably the closest, but then also the Thanksgiving game just a couple weeks ago, where this game did get close. And again, the Lions' injuries are a real thing. The Lions are incredibly banged up. That being said, this Bears team just hasn't looked good. The defense has looked okay, but again, I mean, I guess the one thing you maybe look at and say, was there something X's and O's wise that last time these two teams played, we saw the Lions get off to that red hot start and then just completely cool off. They only scored 7 points in the second half. Got outscored 20-7 in the second half. And keep in mind, the Bears were in field goal range when they screwed up and let the clock run out. So it could have been by more than that. So, I mean, this was that's what you look at, I think, I would say if you're a Bears fan, I think as a Bears fan, you're just trying to not drink yourself to death right now. But if you're a fan of like the Eagles or the Vikings, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, there is a case for it, but that was also with a different coach too. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, there's still a lot of coaches in the building that probably think about it that they'll be fine. But yeah, I just think we saw some flashes out of Caleb Williams in the second half of that game, bringing them back. We've seen some flashes out of him this season, but I think Detroit takes care of business in this game. I would bet Detroit -6.5, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But again, the 3 games left, it kind of has to be this game because the next 2 are both probably going to be blowouts. Kyle, give me one of them.
All right, we'll go with the Patriots.
Have faith in your team. Yeah, there you go. Having confidence in your team. Not saving this game for last. I'm picking the Bills, who are 14.5-point favorites at home against the Patriots, which is a high number, especially for a divisional game. But again, I mean, you see how these teams have been playing lately. You fully understand it. The Bills' offense. Will the Patriots force a punt in this game, Kyle?
No, I wouldn't bet on it right now.
Yeah, I think I would bet on no punts.
Yeah. There was that growing thing for a while that the Patriots had an ownership over Josh Allen, and then that stopped pretty abruptly a couple of years ago. Granted, we did beat them last season, so maybe there's that. But I think what we've seen out of this Patriots defense this season, and it just hasn't been good, along with the injuries. The only thing that's going to stop Josh Allen from scoring in this game is they decide to bench him because they don't want him to get hurt. And this game should be over by halftime because this defense just cannot get any stops. It's not athletic enough on the defensive line. Josh Allen's going to be able to run away from everybody, or James Cook, honestly. Either one of those guys could have success. Ray Davis could have success in this game. So yeah, any of those guys in the backfield can have success. And then everybody's been able, as long as you don't throw at Christian Gonzalez, you can throw on the Patriots defense. That everyone else has been able to have success. So I'm curious to see who the Patriots put Gonzalez on. Is it going to be Khalil Shakir? Is it going to be Keon Coleman? I could see cases for both guys, especially because Keon Coleman's such an outside threat. But at the same time, Shakir is going to be able to have a success in the slot. You're going to be able to see Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox have success in this game. And I think that the Bills should win by a lot.
Yeah. Kieran says Josh Allen could sit after the first quarter of this game. It'll be 21-0 after 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe you could get some stops that way. Maybe if you get down by so much that they bench Josh Allen.
Hey, Drake May is ready for this game. If there's one argument I'm going to make for the Patriots to keep this a little bit closer than we're hoping, it's that this Bills defense has not looked good the last couple of weeks. Granted, I think it's safe to say that the Rams and Lions are better offenses than the Patriots this season. I don't know if that's a hot take.
Maybe.
But I think Drake May has played well this season. I think, we've talked a lot about it. I think he's played very well and gotten better as the season went along. And while the numbers overall I didn't think were awesome in that Cardinals game, he started the game 10 for 10 and every dumb penalty and just crazy stuff happened that led to them not scoring points in the first half. Granted, that could happen again because this isn't a good team and they have a bad offensive line, all that. But, he's able to move the ball and he can run, and I think he can cause this Bills defense some problems. It's not going to be enough to keep up in this game, but I think there is I think May can have some success still individually.
I think my concern about that is like, again, kind of what we talked about with Sean McDermott. It seems like smart coordinators and coaches and like quarterbacks can sort of like outsmart this Bills like defense because they kind of do the same thing. So like that's what you saw with Stafford, is what you see with Goff. Like again, Drake May, who I mean, he's a raw prospect. He's a rookie. Like I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same things that Stafford was able to do in that game.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinators are a little bit better than Alex Van Pelt too.
Maybe, perhaps. Yeah. How are we feeling Jared Mayo stock right now on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably like a 1 or 2. I think I was one of the quicker ones to say like it's time to make a change. As far as Patriots fans go, I think it's a growing sentiment on it. I don't know if he's going to be one and done. I still don't think he's going to be a one and done, just because of what he meant to the organization, all that, and like Robert Kraft seemingly, by reports, handpicked him as kind of the guy in waiting. However, it's not looking good. So we'll see. I do think there are going to be some changes to the staff this offseason.
What's the worst Patriots-related food product right now? Is it mayo or is it mac and cheese?
Well, mayo's not very good to begin with, so probably that.
Oh, a hot take. I like mayo.
It's all right.
The condiment, not the coach.
Yeah, I mean, like, you put a little bit on the sandwich, it gives some texture. I like it. I like a good, like, garlic aioli over mayo, though.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, mayo's good. What are we doing? Let's move on. One game left to talk about. Saints, Packers. So this is your game, Kyle. Who are you picking to win?
The Packers.
Yeah.
Todd Packard, everyone. Yeah, I just think it's this is a bad matchup. I think a lot of teams, when the Saints don't have Derek Carr, are a bad matchup. So yeah, give me the Packers.
Yeah. Really, people don't like mayo. I think mayo is a very good for a sandwich. Mayo is if you need mayo anyway.
It's not a versatile condiment. Like,
it's not supposed to be. That's not its job.
Mustard goes on sandwiches. It can go on hot dogs. It goes on burgers. All that kind of stuff. Like ketchup, similar. Ketchup goes great with, like, fries too. I
don't disagree. I'm just saying in terms of for what it can do, it is good. Also, you put a little mayo on your burger. Trust me, it's a little trick. It's good.
I don't deny it. I just think what is your? I don't even like ketchup. I would put mayo above ketchup for sure, because I don't put ketchup with fries. I do vinegar.
I mean, if I'm at the position where like I only have one spot in my or like a couple spots in my drawer for like condiments, I think buffalo is number 1 and ranch is probably number 2.
I don't like ranch. I'm a blue cheese guy.
Okay, well, sure, but again, I'm not gonna put blue cheese on a sandwich.
Yeah, it's got to be a very specific sandwich. That's not going to work. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably mustard's definitely my go-to condiment for a lot of things.
But then, I like them all. I'm not picky.
Yeah. Mustard's really good. Like a brown mustard too. That hits.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a yeah. What is this now? We're hating on vinegar with fries. I mean, that is so good. It's elite. That's the best flavor. What are we doing here?
Vinegar with fries?
Yeah, or chips as they call it overseas. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Fish and chips with malt vinegar. That's a difference maker.
Okay, I don't think I've had that.
Wow, what are you doing, man?
Are
you a tartar sauce guy?
No, not really. No.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
But I'm not a big. There's certain fish I like, but I'm not like a huge fish guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. I think we covered this game. Ready to move on? No.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
no, I'm good. I guess we could talk about it. What do you want to talk about?
I mean, there's things we can discuss. I suppose I don't know. I mean. Okay, I guess the question is, well, okay, how about this? Spencer Rattler, I think, is an interesting player. Kyle, you have suggested that Rattler could be a potential starter next year for the Saints. This is a bit of a tryout period for him.
Yeah, he's got to earn the job for sure.
Yeah.
He's always been a guy with insane arm talent. It's going back to high school. He was the number 1 in his high school class. Granted, that was the COVID class. There's a lot of like high school prospects and like analysts that kind of said like, yeah, I think some of those rankings were a little weird. I don't know how much I would fully marry to those rankings, but he was still rated as one of the best passers in the country for a reason. He had good college years. He's had good college moments. He's had good moments in the NFL. I think there is arm talent there. Like, there is a case for him to earn the job, and I think he does have the talent that he could be good. There's still a lot of development to go, though, and I think he's got a chance in this game to go out there and earn it.
Yeah, I think that's really the main intrigue. Again, who knows? Football games can get weird. But yeah, this is the game that the Packers should win easily.
Tough defense, though, to go against. That is it's going to take a big performance. We still haven't seen Chris Olave since his second concussion this season. There's just not a lot to get excited about for the Saints right now. I mean, look at this team. Look at this offense. I mean, if Kamara doesn't play in this game again, like we're looking at who's their best skill guy? Marquez Valdes-Scantling? Like, I can't get excited for that.
No, it's a tough spot for the Saints. But yeah, this is the primetime game too. This is Monday night.
No 2 Monday night games this week. This is the only one.
I believe this. I can double check. There might be, but I believe this is the only one.
Yeah, Troy Aikman might take it off.
Yeah, a couple nights before Christmas. I mean, listen, we all watch footballs religiously, but I mean, that might be the night to hang out with the family, get some travel.
How do you think a Jordan Love Super Bowl victory would influence Toyota sales in the state of Wisconsin?
So what is this? You made this reference a couple times. What is this? What are you referencing?
So there is a stat out now. I think it was even made it to the ESPN at one point of Jordan Love's success in months that don't involve Toyotathon versus with Toyotathon. I'm going to see if I can pull up the graphic that I saw. But yeah, it is a big contrast to success with Toyotathon and without Toyotathon. I'm going to keep rambling here until I can actually find the graphic. All right, here we go. Career stats, because Toyotathon, by the way, is November to beginning of January. Career stats not during Toyotathon for Jordan Love is 3,829 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 25 interceptions. During Toyotathon, Jordan Love is 3,283 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Wow. So you don't have yeah. So you think it's the car that's doing that?
It is the car sale, not even just the car.
Does he have a Toyota? Is he a big Toyota guy? What do you think is happening here?
It has not been confirmed whether he drives a Toyota or not. It is just that the fact that Toyotathon is in the ether while he's playing.
Do you think maybe matters. He has? Do you think maybe his family is like they own like a Toyota dealership and like they're really annoying and he can't focus on football? But then now once Toyotathon is there, now he has like the free time to focus on football.
Yeah, they're too locked in on making sales and making money. They have to get him a sponsorship at this point. If he continues on this run, I think it has to happen.
Yeah, I think so. That seems like it. Why is Toyotathon so? What is Toyotathon? I see the commercials. It's just a sale. Why is it so long? What's happening?
Let's look up what Toyotathon actually is. We got to inform the audience.
Yes, I think so.
The hard-hitting questions. You don't.
An hour and 23 minutes into this show. That's what we need to be doing.
Toyota typically concentrates any special offers of cashback, low finance rates, or low lease rates during the Toyotathon period, leveraging customers' excitements at better than average deal with a limited time promotion at car dealerships across units. I mean, the big thing is every car is on sale in December of years, and they just do it a little bit longer because they have to clear out their. Like the new cars come in, so they have to sell the old cars. Like the new year's cars come in. So yeah, that's basically what it is. They just got a great name behind it. I mean, that's a really good name, Toyotathon.
Yeah,
I mean, it just hits.
So when does Toyotathon end?
I think it's like early January.
Okay, so that's a deep playoff because I'm thinking about the playoff game against the 49ers when Love threw that game-losing pick at the end. Yeah, maybe this is like you need to. Do you bench him once you get into the playoffs?
Yeah, it went until January 2nd, 2024 last year. So,
okay, yeah, there you go.
So it ends January 6th. So yeah, they're in trouble. They're not winning a Super Bowl.
Probably not. Yeah. Luckily the last game of regular season January 5th though, so they got a chance to but then they're in trouble.
It would be really funny if he goes on a huge run and then throws like 4 picks in this first playoff game.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be good. Kyle. That is our show. Let them know where we can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page at On The Sideline JK. That is at On The Sideline JK.
Of course, you have like audio only podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. It should be available there. Thanks to everyone for listening to all of this nonsense here as we are, 16 weeks into the show, Kyle, still going strong.
Yeah, make sure to drop your favorite condiment in the comments today. Make sure to drop it. I want to hear it.
Yes. Let us know what are your condiment rankings. I think that's what we need. Mustard, that one is a bit of a hot take, I think.
I like mustard. I'm a mustard guy.
Okay, sure. Mustard, again, is a very good condiment. I'm just saying it's a bit of a hot take.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm okay. I'll accept that.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have barbecue sauce number 1, like turn 13. Come on now. Like, let's go.
No, I hear. I mean, barbecue sauce is very good in its very specific setting, but like if that's
on
like
barbecue
your chicken,
food, yes,
exactly. If that's your chicken tender sauce, like what are you doing?
Yeah, I have questions about like your age, mainly.
Yes,
because I'm concerned. So yeah, let's just let's get it together here.
Yes. Okay. Thank you to everybody for watching or listening. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.